Hi.
How are you doing?
We're doing good. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing great. I really am. I'm a retired guy. I just seen you working here. Are you? Did your van break down?
Oh
No.
no! I just woke up.
We could have used somebody like you on 9/11, so we would have known the truth. But we do know the truth.
We do.
I'm a bleeding heart liberal my entire life, and I have a friend at Madison, Wisconsin, that's a young Republican that said the Republicans are going to be in for a real big surprise at their convention. They're going to make a demand that the Republican Party runs Ron Paul in the election. They're going to stand up and say he's the only honest Republican candidate and he's what the American people deserve. This is where it gets interesting. If they don't meet those young Republicans' demands, they're going to release the proof that our government orchestrated 9/11. Quite a challenge. Because there's plenty of evidence out there showing that they've done it. That it's our government that did it. Plenty of evidence, but this is new proof that's, I guess if you got a picture or a video of a cruise Tomahawk missile flying into the Pentagon, there's your proof. All they had to do was show us one of the tapes that they got, that there was a 757 that flew in there.
Yeah.
And all they have to do is show us one tape and we would shut up and go away, but there's so much proof out there that it made me sick 3 weeks ago. I said to my Democrat buddy who's younger and a big political analyst and all these things, I says, how come I'm the last one to know about this stuff? Oh, it was a shock for me to have you retire after 20 years of friendship, but if I would have showed you these tapes and told you you'd have had a heart attack and you're doing just what you're doing. Just what you're doing, and I haven't slept for 3 weeks or eaten. I've been sick over the whole thing. I've called 4 federal legislatures.
Good for you.
Put them on the spot because their evidence is false.
Yeah.
I can prove it just in conversation. All you two have to do is think about the videos of the buildings falling. Okay, the premise that the American government and experts said was the aviation fuel weakened the steel columns and the building because of the weight above came down. Correct? That was my thought. I argued that on the job. Look at the video. At no time does the precast from that floor pop off the building and shoot out. Well, under any scenario, did those floors above come down on the floor that was hit by the airplane? It doesn't jar down, it doesn't squiggly bear down, it doesn't drop from one end because of there's where the plane hit and then come down. Look at the videos and convince yourself of the truth of what happened. At no time do those floors come down and bear on the 80th floor of the second tower. And their premise was, oh, the fuel would have taken all the strength out of the steel in 10 minutes. Well, why did the second building stand 59 minutes, and why did the first one stand 109 minutes? And how does a fire 80 floors above burn steel columns off 80 floors below at a perfect diagonal? Where's the 3,000 degree fire and the fuel that melts 4-inch solid steel? Video proof. You see the molten steel blowing out of the buildings. Firefighters, I never heard their testimony. The last one, his name was Captain Palmer of the 17th Battalion, Fire Engine 7 that went, I'm on the 78th floor, there's 2 small pockets of fire, I'm going to use 2 lines to knock it down, out central, then he calls a lieutenant or whatever that's with him, come on over here, we're going to put this fire out in a couple minutes, 2 lines, 2 pockets, and then the building's gone. Somebody sitting in the building and heard that and said, oh, we got to get rid of those guys. How could it happen if the fire was out? If you look at the videos, the fire was basically out and it was nothing but smoke. You know? Now you got me on record, what are you going to do with it?
We're going to put you on YouTube.
I hope you do, and bring it on.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
I'll argue.
Can we get your name? Or just...
John J. Cortuccio, Caledonia.
Yes, sir.
I'm an American patriot that only wants the truth to be told. Would we turn our back on Pearl Harbor? All Americans, Republicans are taking the fight to the government. I'm a bleeding heart liberal. Now you got the truth. You do what you want, people. Look at the videos and say, oh, that old fart's wrong.
No.
Those floors came down and they put the stress load on the floors below it. Never happened. Trust your own eyes.
We're Canadians and I'm with you.
Right on. We love the Canadians. I'm so pissed at George Bush for what the way he's treated our neighbors, Mexicans and Canadians. I had one good Republican friend say, well, why didn't we just attack Mexico? we'd had a lot better targets and it's a lot closer, and we could have accomplished the same damn thing. Thanks a lot, people. We love the Canadians.
You're very
and I
welcome.
wish we would start buying oil from Canada and Mexico. You know, we got, yeah, well, what are we going to do? Turn our back on the truth? Yes.
There's still a lot of oil in Alaska.
Oh, trillion barrels. There's 60 years supply in this country capped off. We can drill on the ocean, we can drill in Canada, we can drill on the moon. More oil ain't going to change anything. More refineries. For 40 years we've been talking about solar power and wind power. Where is it? Man walked on the moon 40 years ago and we can't get one of these that gets 50 miles to the gallon? Bullshit.
Yeah, and where's the liquid hydrogen we're supposed to be running on, right?
I know 3 or 4 people that invented a machine. You put it on any motor that burns internally, and you can put water in your gas tank. It burns the hydrogen.
He's already got the stuff to do it.
Emits steam out. Your vote don't mean nothing. They want the intelligent, educated electoral college to pick the guy, not the people's choice.
Of course.
You know, I mean, the people don't have... I mean, we've been lied to so bad that I've always had these suspicions about the Pueblo. That was a ship in Vietnam that was supposedly boarded by northern... Vietnam military, and that's why we got to escalate this war, and a million people got to become millionaires. This war has created hundreds of millionaires. Cheating.
That's all it's about.
That's what it's all about. Make the rich richer, and who cares how many of these young dumb people we kill, and basically they just want to get the gene pool up, and then we can kill 50,000 dumb Republicans that volunteered. We'll kill them, and the gene pool is going to go up. The Republicans in the next generation are going to be smarter. And that's sad, you know, and I can't turn my back on 4,000 Americans that died that day. And if I'm wrong, prove it. But I think my science, my eyes, said the buildings never collapsed that way. They got scientific proof. They clock it. The building's 1,000 feet. It took 10 seconds to hit the ground. That is proof.
Yeah.
Free fall.
They have speakers in Canada that come to facilities and speak that truth.
That is the truth.
Yeah.
That's the absolute truth right there.
Yeah.
But there's people in this country that still defend the government and think they're absolutely right, but they're wrong because they don't even believe their own eyes. I mean, that's why I'm mad at myself. George Washington's my hero, and I've always prided myself with self-evidence and self-truth, and I'm mad that I didn't see the truth right away. But I was the second or third day. I got a question for the president and vice president. Is there a specific reason we have $1 trillion defense system that we can't even get one shot off at? It'd be like being inside of a barn, and I'll give you $1 million if you can hit the broadside of that barn with a shotgun. I mean, these things are designed to take down supersonic fighter bombers in the Russian fleet, and we didn't shoot one fuck. Yeah, you know, it's bad. Americans are going to die either way, but at least we would have known that it was a bomb, you know, that it was a 757 instead of a cruise missile. There'd be concrete proof. Here's the facts. Never in the history of the world has a concrete and steel building fallen because of fire. Guess what? In one day, 3 of them did. Never in the history of the world has a jumbo jet flown into the earth, into a building, the side of a mountain, any place, and totally vaporized. We're talking about the plane that hit the Pentagon, had 2 motors that weighed 24,000 pounds of steel and titanium, and it vaporized. It's going to take 3,000 degrees in heat just to get them into a pool of liquid, and that's going to take 2 or 3 hours, not 5 seconds. Science is on our side, so is math. You know, and I don't know what to do or say about it. It's going to hurt the world when the truth comes out. You know, my first impression after I seen the videos called Loose Change was throw that video away and never talk about it. Oh, wait, I'm the last one to know because I'm dumb. You know, everybody else knew about it. Why, you got a good camera there that keep listening. Does it record my voice too?
Everything.
I suppose the goddamn FBI is going to be knocking at my door tomorrow.
We are the FBI. No.
we were accused of being spies, you know, and they may have been right.
That's good. That's good. No,
These things need to be
At least I'll be shot out of my misery for 40 years of trying to explain to people that, geez, that's kind of bad in South Vietnam. We were using flechette bombs against our allies, indiscriminate killers. You know what I'm saying? Of villagers, old people, young people, men, women, children that had no political views or nothing about the Vietnam War, just that we got to destroy these people so it looks good. You know, flechette bombs. The American people don't even know about them. Never heard of them. And
I've never heard of them.
okay, the reason I know is my friend worked with top secret clearance for the United States Air Force in 1971, I think. He served. He loaded the flechette bombs, 500-pound flechette bombs and 750-pound chaflet. I can't even say it. I'm so upset now.
Flechette.
And he dipped the flechettes into anticoagulants. It's like a dart with a steel fin. If that comes across you with a baby or your grandson and it just nicks you and cuts you an inch or half an inch of surf, you're going to bleed to death because of the anticoagulant. How miserable of a death could we inflict upon people? And those are the South Vietnamese people. You know what I'm saying? That we're supposed to be there helping. And the only thing I can tell you is when the proof is right in front of your face, you got to do something about it. You know, you got, at least I got to talk. So thanks a lot for listening to me babble.
You're welcome anytime.
You know, and I'm on the people's side. I can't stand to think about 433 firefighters were not died in the line of duty. They were executioned or murdered on that day by quite possibly our government. And I'll never forget their voices, and I'll always continue their fight for justice. And the other Americans that died that day. 123 at the Pentagon were selected for death, put into that new construction area. And 123 Pentagon employees died that day. Probably most of them were liberals. Most probably, I don't know. But they were selected for death also by the, you know, Illuminatis and trilateralists of America. So how do you change anything? They got everything on their side, and we don't got nothing but numbers, and that's what's going to be coming up.
This is a start.
It's a start.
This will get to many people.
When there's 50 million Americans that know the truth, the government's going to be in trouble no matter who the president is, whether it's left or right. And I think the American people are just about at the point where they're fed up, that there's enough of them. That when I hear 3 Republicans that spent their entire life in the military, that it's time for a revolution, and these people are conservative, Republicans. I only thought Democrats and liberals thought that way, that it's our responsibility to go take the government back. That's our responsibility by the Constitution. You know, and either, as we speak, the federal government's most likely training troops to kill Americans so they won't feel guilty when they kill us. Because we're going to be branded terrorists and all these things. But remember one thing, Nazi Germany, there were 7,000 German military people in World War II that tried to get rid of Adolf because they thought he was nuts, crazy, doing the wrong thing, just plain simply wrong. They wound up dying. There was posters of cardboard and paper all over Germany. These are the enemy to the Third Reich. Look at their faces. All over Germany, 7,000 Germans. Today, their names are etched in stone as German heroes. They were right. The Lutherans and Catholics of Germany were wrong. I tell our radical right Christians, why don't we do what Germany did to our homosexuals? Just kill them. 500,000 Germans disappeared. I said to one guy, I says, I can't understand why you radical right Christians in a small town like this, I've lived outside of town for 32 years, I never even seen a homosexual or a gay person. Why do you guys hate them so bad in this? I says, do they come with a stamp on their forehead that says gay? I can't, you know, because I ain't seen one that I know of, and they don't bother me, so what's your problem with them? Do let them live and, you know, just go about your way. You're not supposed to pass judgment.
That's right.
You got it, right on.
Isn't that someplace in there? Just, otherwise you're going to be judged. You know?
Exactly.
So, well, I really enjoyed talking to you guys. You're nice people. I knew that our neighbors to the north were a bunch of good people.
Total pleasure.
And you might see my picture in the national news, local terrorist shot by FBI agent. Vietnam veteran telling the truth about his government. I wouldn't put it. There is one guy that talked about 2 weeks before the planes flew into the Pentagon. His last name was Martino, and he was a construction owner and property man. Oh, big office, real nice, professional. He says, I think that 2 planes could fly into that building and it wouldn't even hurt him. That guy hasn't been seen or heard since 9/11. He disappeared off the face of the earth.
Uh-oh.
But how about out of 19 terrorists, according to one video, 9 of them are still alive and documented being alive and everywhere from Saudi Arabia to Europe and, you know.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks a lot. Enjoy your trip and be careful in America.
Fat quick.
Beckwick.
Fat wick.
Fat wig.